Hi folks, welcome to the World Cup. We are down to the semi-finals and this is the situation. We have 4 teams left standing. We have Catalonia against France in one half of the draw, and we have China against Germany in the other, after a dramatic win for Germany in the extra game against the Czech Republic. So that was played just recently, so that pairing is a little bit behind in terms of scheduling. I think most of the games will be played over the weekend, but Catalonia and France have already started, and I can show you how it's going. So we have 2 games played. We have the first one, I believe, was this one. So Tyrell against Targaryen was a win for France, and the second one was played last night with Greyjoy for Catalonia against Tyrell for France, and that was another win for France. I actually recorded that without commentary, so I might record commentary one of these days and upload it as well, so that you can see how the game went. But good start for France anyway. Catalonia was very convincing in the Swiss stage, winning all of their games, and was the first team to qualify. So in the end they have a draw against the Czech Republic actually, but they won the first 3 games, so they were already guaranteed to go through. And France only just made it, so from the first 2 games they have a loss and a draw. They drew against us actually, and I was surprised at the time because I considered them one of the tournament favorites, but they played very well at the end of the Swiss stage and then won their quarter-final match as well, so they are actually fighting for the title now. And it's not surprising considering some of the players that are in there, and we'll see some strong players in this one as well. So we have, for Catalonia, we have Knights of Valyrian, still one of the most successful decks in this tournament, winning almost all of their games across a few teams that have chosen this combination. And this is about what you would expect. So it defends the wall with all kinds of builders, a few non-builders as well, to be fair, and attachments, especially with Seasoned Woodsman, can really help you get a board that is very difficult to get around, very difficult to get that wall knelt, and just seems to have an answer for everything and keeps coming back no matter how you try to control the board. And we have some draw in the plots. We have Duel, which is not going to hit in this one, Palace of Sorrows, and both Valors actually. This is quite interesting, but I think the Baratheon deck that this is going to play against also plays Dohaeris and expects to have low-cost characters in play, and I think plays Close Call. Is that right? Let's see. So this is what France is playing. Yeah, also has Dohaeris and has Close Call, so should be alright with that Morgulis on the other side, and we have Duel here as well, so this is not going to do much if both players are relying on it. It's just going to miss. It's been a good plot in this tournament, even with open deck lists. And what else do we have here? So we have the Maiden to Control Initiative. We have these trade routes for economy, this to find some of the many locations in the deck. Clash of Kings, you have to push a couple of challenges through. If you have Storm's End, there's a chance to get a lot of power, and it will be difficult, right? Because the Night's Watch is famous for their no attachments except weapon keyword, and the plan here to put traitors to the crown into play to control the power challenge is going to be difficult to execute. There is some Kneel as well, of course, and the Black Cells for board control, and the important part, it plays Throne and only 1 chamber, very important to get that into play. Do we have the Iron Throne here to compete for the dominance? We do not, although has to be said that this kind of deck quite often can have so much strength and so much gold gained that it competes anyway against the throne. especially if it's pure builders, which this actually is not, so we'll see how that goes. Has the game started is the question. Just about. So let's join it. So we have France at the bottom of your screen, and we have Catalonia at the top. Yeah, if anyone wants to join me on commentary, you are of course more than welcome. Just let me know. On Discord I might not notice immediately since I have only one screen, but I will keep checking. So we are just after setup, and we have the expected maiden. Red keep is in play, which should help with the draw. There's Samikon and Alistair against a couple of characters in the King's Road. Not the best setup, right? It's just 6 cards, 6 gold used, and starting with exchange, trying to get some early draw. Yeah, which kind of snowballs for this deck, right? You get some draw, you get the other as well, and even though it's been a very frequently used card over the course of the game's history, Messenger Raven hasn't been popular in the more recent times, but this deck does play 2 copies of the Messenger Raven, which should definitely help with the draw. I forgot to check some of the events. Yeah, nothing special. It's not the kind of deck that we see a lot in this tournament that plays the big characters and then maybe a red cook or a fresh recruits in there. It's just a basic red, the Nightmare's Hand Judgment, and a copy of Lay Waste, which against Baratheon is tricky, right? Because they just replace location with something else. You can't play this Lay Waste on this red keep, for instance, just get black cells in there. And it's not ideal. But the chamber you could get, there's just 1 copy. So some of the builders coming in, they bring in Castle Black, but not the wall. And just missing a bit for these masons to be activated. It should happen at some point. So remember, of course, that the Valyrian still has the action as well. Can put an attachment into play in any phase by kneeling the faction card and paying some gold, which means we could get a surprise Milk or a surprise Craven at some point to mess with the opponent. And Baratheon gets duped. Very important to get a duped Sir Eldon, who could of course help stand locations like Black Cells and Storm's End. Standing the red keep does nothing, so at the moment he's not doing much work, and no Northern encampments in there as well, but next round we can expect Brand the Builder to be played for Baratheon. There is of course also a card in Shadows. Usually the plan for this type of deck is to put those traitors in Shadows because they can be brought out cheaply and as a surprise, but against a deck with so many no attachments cards, maybe that's not going to be the plan as much. So here comes that ghost extra attachment, not exactly on the character where you would expect it to be very impactful, but it is the 3rd card, right, that the Shadow Tower Masons needed for their icons. And that's all we have in round 1. Red keep successfully protected, and no significant power gained. So Brand the Builder for sure for Baratheon. And what's the plan for Night's Watch? Draw is used. I guess the Smith maybe save for later when it can kneel more than just the red keep. So for after Brand the Builder maybe, or even the turn after. For the realm depends on the cards, of course, if you have something to reduce. Palace of Sorrows to bring everyone's strength up. It's questionable as well, so spending the duel because it's not going to hit in this game and leaving the plots that actually do stuff for later when the opportunity is better makes sense, and wins initiative as well to be able to go second. And Imri, so that's one card that I would consider maybe bringing into play through Shadows. Because if the game is going awkwardly, let's say, and the wall is being protected, then that gives you, especially on Clash of Kings, gives you one really good round if you manage to trigger him without being milked. You can do a bunch of challenges, and Night's Watch doesn't really have that many surprises. Mid-challenge you can, I guess, bring those recruits in from Shadows. That's the one card that gets around that, and maybe Old Tattersalt also can go into Shadows. This time lots of gold left. So Shadow Priestess maybe will try to need something to be able to push a challenge through. Important this time for Anselme to actually get something, right? Because Brand the Builder needs to trigger to find the Throne and Storm's End and Black Cells. This is awkward now. You can't do just challenges for the sake of it, because he will keep getting power. Storm's End would stop Castle Black as well on some characters. Yeah, so what to do? No, if the wall was in play, seems like it would be pretty impossible here to nail it, but just winning a challenge, not so difficult, should be able to push one through, right? Yeah, thinking here, so this game could be slow, especially if the wall is not in play. Night's Watch plays defensively, blocks everything, Baratheon slow to gain power. And could be one that goes to time, potentially. And now with that Lord Commander, especially on Craster. Now Craster is immune to all the resets in this game, so he will stay in play. So this is safe. You just do the challenges you can push through and ignore the others, I think. Fortunately, we can't see what the options are. Of course, it's entirely possible that Black Cells is already here in Shadows. Although possibly you would marshal it instead to save some gold. And finding Dragonstone Port is not great, unless he's worried about Econ. Just 2 rows out, so in my version of the deck there was trading with the Pendosian, Late Summer Feast, and this one much less gold in the plots, so needs to get all those locations, but I'm guessing that was not by choice really, it was just some bad luck, and fortunately Shadow Priestess clears the way for another challenge, and this time finds Black Cells, which should be important. Now if he defends the Red Keep, could get 2 more cards, and then he is doing alright and should be getting some answers. And what can Night's Watch do? I guess push the Intrigue challenge through, get some power for that Lord Commander. Or not. Yeah, I think he wanted to attack with both. For 6, right? Because Aemon cannot beat Shadow Priestess, and Craster with noble lineage would not beat Alistair and kneel the red or disable the red keep. Yeah, allowing this to happen. For the last time, alright. Wasn't really a take back so much. He immediately, of course, immediately realized that he didn't do what he wanted to do here. And okay, now Morghulis, of course, gets rid of power on these, and there's no Stormlands with them, but this could have sped up the game a little bit. Although then you are really committed to protecting them, right? You can never lose power on defense either. And Night's Watch doing its tricks to get some extra draw. Awkward Morghulis because of Alistair, but better to Harris possibly in a round or two. Now I think you let those locations come in, and then you play the Smith to have a round where you are free from them. Well, this Baratheon don't get rid of their own duel as well. It is a fairly high initiative plot though, so if that ever is an issue, might want to keep on to it. Now plays Morghulis. Well, it kills Imri, doesn't kill Eldon, doesn't kill Delena or Melisandre or any other uniques that have more than one copy. And I would be surprised if he sacrificed himself to bring the Chuds back. Now, what happened to Ghost? Returns to hand. Okay, so he can be replayed to trigger the agenda again. So this is all pretty decent, having Ghost in this deck. Underplayed card possibly, and the core Ghost, the character. Haven't seen him in ages really. There were some rumors actually that there's going to be a Stark version of Ghost as one of the champ cards, if I remember correctly. Might be getting that wrong, but that could be interesting to see. So, economy comes in, but now to get something out of this game we'll have to see the wall pretty soon. Yes, there we are. However, the characters at the moment are missing, so Baratheon should be able to nail it here. Although those Shadow Priestesses, yeah, if positive attachments are in play, they have limited targets. But now, for instance, kneeling the Hob, yeah, and Black Cells on Craster, or the other way around, achieves pretty much what Anselme is looking to do here. Morghulis is gone, no need to obsess about these characters getting killed. However, Duhair is still in there, and both Duhairis, so at some point you have to expect that these two might be split. And what will Eldon do. Actually, he has already done it for the double reduction. And he helps, certainly, with dominance if you are unlucky in finding the throne. And Black Cells was drawn, right? Earlier, it's not in play now. Maybe wants to keep it in shadows so that the smith doesn't get it. Because this round it's not so important to have it. You're going to kneel the wall anyway. And Knightswatch really wants to keep that noble lineage. Brings it into play and loses the haunted forest, which is not nice. It was going to be a big help, I think. That's quite important to keep track of all of these attachments. So the dupe is taken because Margulis is gone, makes sense. Yeah. Unopposed power, getting the red keep draw, getting dominance. It's all going extremely well here again for Team France. And it's quite crazy, after this game they still have some of their big guns. They still have Alex and Argento and Valnitrik, I think, all playing. I think Med is playing as well. Not sure who is the fifth one. Can check the spreadsheet later. So here is that Smith, but if Black Cells comes in through shadows, it's going to be fine. And playing close call for some extra draw. Imri resurrected, okay. Of course, he's the one guy that has an additional copy in the deck. And if Anselme ever draws him, I think that is almost guaranteed to win the game then, right? Unless there's a milk. Can play Clash of Kings, have everything nailed. Blocking the red keep, blocking the high road as well, which isn't really getting used. Slightly surprised that a few of the decks have gone for high road in this combination. Doesn't just looking at the maths basically doesn't really work out that it would reduce all that many cards and it goes away. Of course, if you're expecting a long game, better to just have a consistent economy. And yeah, if there was ever any doubt for dominance, throne is now here. And now I think Knightswatch has a problem. Now, of course, you can defend the wall every time and it gets slightly easier now. There's a lot of characters. Still Black Cells can try to stop it, but let's say it's successful. And then you get 2 power each round, but Baratheon is on 9 and winning dominance at least. It's a long way ahead. There it is. It's going to stop that icon. Now it means there's one power icon and one military icon on the same character. Now Castle Black is in play, so that character could defend both. Okay, attacking just with 4, so that's just a giveaway that Traitor is in shadows, and Benjen, of course, is one of the few characters that can take attachments. Just for good measure, standing black cells as well. That's already going to be unopposed, but then stopping Benjen from defending military now as well. Missing that Stormlands Fiefdom to put this power on the faction card to steal it. Actually, I've cut the Fiefdoms myself from my version of the deck, even though I'd always played it in the past. And I did miss it a few times, but it is more of a tempo hit than you would like. And works better, I think, works out better with northern encampments and the Rose Roads and the Dragonstone ports. Have to play on the board a little bit, right? And so you can afford those Ds that reduce cost rather than just locations that give pure gold, like in some decks that just have so much shadows that they need the gold rather than the reduction. But here you do play on the board a little bit, or even mostly, I guess. Just one card potentially comes into play through shadows each round. And that's Baratheon up to 11. Doesn't bother with the Intrigue challenge, but it might defend. Just a question whether there is any potential surprises on the power challenge. Red Keep is knelt. Eldon could have stood it, but a healthy number of cards in hand anyway. And even if this is slightly misplayed, or if something unexpected happens, which, yeah, that's exactly what happens here to push the challenge through. It's not a big deal, right? Getting a dupe, which is just completely fine, and conceding some power to Lord Commander, but that's about it. Still doing pretty well, and now there is power on the faction card, and Clash of Kings can grab it potentially. And remember what I said about dominance, so it's 10-7 even with the Iron Throne. That Night's Watch is tricky. Gets black cells, so now getting rid of that copy from hand, not so great. And we have Milcon Crester, which means that now whenever the Harris is played, you do need to worry about him. Now, of course, Night's Watch has exactly 10 combined cost here, so it's not a big deal, but in the future it could be. And okay, Benjen was triggered for some additional power. Now he could be useful. Maybe another Benjen and a wall. Goes pretty quickly, but Baratheon is on 12. I don't think it's quick enough. And this is not bad. Getting all the strengths equalized when Clash of Kings is revealed. Possibly could be alright here for Night's Watch, depending on what is in hand. If there's a bunch of charts coming in, could be alright here. So Craster's strength is of course he's milked now. Yeah. Otherwise he would be immune, so he could potentially have higher strength than the other characters, but not on this occasion. And yeah, earlier Haunted Forest for intrigue. Still think that that was quite a big loss. Baratheon would have a much more difficult job to nail the wall with that in play. Tatters finds Cage of Ravens. I think he might have been looking for a Craven there. And Melisandre's strength is still going to be 1 in challenges, right? Because it's a set modifier the same as the plot, and it will be resolved later. Nightmares on Melisandre stops her needing something in the marshalling phase, but there are 3 copies of Sin in Flames and half the deck drawn, so I think half a chance that that was drawn. And now another character that can take attachments takes a traitor. Now is that already pretty much enough here for Baratheon? So claim Clash of Kings trigger and dominance is all Baratheon needs. Has 4 characters, so command strength of 10 when the Strangler also takes effect, and +2 for the Red Keep. And not enough defenders, only 3 now, only 2 left. Well, actually, only 1 left. He has traitor as well, yeah. So that's going to be pushed through. And the traitors will stop Night's Watch here competing for dominance as well, so the only thing Baratheon really needs to do is defend the power challenge, which is already achieved because Estupe finishes his challenges. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And now Baratheon can do power with, let's say, 3 characters just to be safe. Trigger Clash of Kings and win dominance, and it's game over. If there is Sin in Flames, might as well do that as well to check for surprises, but okay. Goes the long way around. Military first. Maybe that gives some chance of killing something and then drawing with attachments that return to hand or something like that. Telena comes out to stop Castle Black. And looks like this will be another one-sided win for France. Things went quite favorably in all 3 games for them. Not sure if it's a realistic reflection of the matchups. The players, I guess, would know. I expect they will have tested them. But no guarantees that the other 5 are similar. We could have an advantage for Catalonia in some of those. So we'll have a look at what is still to be played in this matchup after the game finishes. Yeah, it was pretty much gone for a while now, ever since we saw what was marshaled on Night's Watch side. No way to block it, and even if there was a way, then just stalls it into another round at best. So yeah, really nicely played here for France again. And as promised, let's have a look. So 3 wins, and we have 5 games still to be played. So we have a very interesting Stark against Greyjoy matchup, and doesn't get much more difficult than Warrior Champion playing his something that is quite close to his Warrior Championship winning deck. But Stark does tend to win these, especially in the Battle of the Nations 2 years ago, and in this tournament I think as well. Stark is having the advantage against Knights, Greyjoy, sorry. So chance for Catalonia in that one. Then we have Targaryen house with the red door. I'll be honest, I don't know what that even is. Let's have a look. Mirin with Dothraki, okay. Wonder if this deck has been winning. It's quite extreme, right? With 43 characters, and it's up against Lannister Many-Faced God. That one we did see in action, and does some crazy jumping stuff. It had in the previous round, it had I think a Voltron Tyrion, right? With is that the right deck I'm thinking of, or was that in one of the other teams? I think it was one of the other teams because it played played Core Tyrion with the 4-cost Gregor to get him keywords. This is a bit different, so this is pure Clansman. So interesting as well. Two decks that do quite a lot of jumping to track against Clansman, and this one I shall enjoy watching. Then we have the Catalonia version of Lanny Many-Faced God. Let's see if it's different. And this is another version altogether. So this one more shadows in this, and Sir Jacelyn to ambush from the discard pile. So 3 completely different approaches to this kind of deck. Very interesting to see. So this is up against Stark Wars, that is extremely expertly played by Argento in this tournament. Will be quite difficult. Then we have Martel Assault from the Shadows. I guess that's some icon control against Lenny Reigns. Night's Watch Reigns. So Reigns against icon control is can struggle, but then the no attachment stuff in some Night's Watch cards could be tricky again. And the last one is Barakocher against Martel Knights of the Hollow Hill. We did see in the Swiss rounds one of Markina's games. It's quite strong with this deck, right? I think made top 16 or something like that in Stark with this deck. And it's quite quick against a slow reset deck. So this one will know in let's say 3 rounds who is going to win. If Baratheon can't close, then Martel comes back. Yeah, so the thing is, most of these games are quite playable for both sides, but France leading already 3 wins to 0. Just needs 1 to force the draw, and 2 to win cleanly, and 5 chances, and they have to do that. So definitely they are in the stronger position here. Alright, so just quickly let's check the calendar. So the Germany versus China not entered here yet. I think most of the games have been agreed to be played towards the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Of course, the time zones here play a part as well. So I guess those will mostly be morning and early afternoon time. But the Catalonia France game, there's another one coming up at 9 p.m. GMT tonight, and then tomorrow night is a big one for this pairing, and hopefully someone will be around to cover these games. Yes, Francisco, the game is over. You can watch the replay. It's just finished a few minutes ago. So I will try to get game 2 from this pairing uploaded as well. I recorded it last night, and hopefully someone will be able to cover the others. So thanks for joining me this afternoon, and we'll see you all next time. Bye bye.